Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our energy update for March the 30th till April the 5th for energetically sensitives and empaths from all over the world. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in here into this weekly energy update, the weekly weather forecast, so to speak, for those of us who are a bit more sensitive to the energies that are going on around us. Well, people are not really happy campers right now. And before we start analyzing and going into like why and what is going on, I want to make a big shout out here to all people who work in retail, who work in customer support, especially here in this Easter week. A lot of our Western nations have holidays. People are agitated at getting family over. So there's an overall agitation going on. And those of you who are empaths and in customer service and retail, guys, don't take it personally, okay? So everyone watching this right now, if you go to pay for something or if you have to call somewhere and, you know, honor the person that is at the full blow of collective energies. All right, thank you for that. And as always, guys, let me know what country you're watching from. This is live broadcasted from Florida at this time. And if you're familiar with transCODES, energy healing and energy training, this is what we do. We work with energetically sensitives from all over the world. And my name is Jona Bryndis. I'm the founder of transCODES, and I have been working in energy healing, energy clearing, and energy training for over 10 years, and I collect the data. So what you will find here is a mixture, I'd say, of empirical data, shamanic healing, energy healing, and psychology. So the people that work with me, including myself, have scientific backgrounds or counseling backgrounds or medical backgrounds, and so we try to bring this information together so that it can address the holistic aspects of your being, the physical, the emotional, the mental, the behavioral, the spiritual, and the energetic. And so here at the end of this energy update and forecast, I'm going to give energy tips on these different levels, how to best deal with those kind of weather conditions. All right. I hope you guys are all doing well. You see that the energy barometer here is still on red, which means, yes, we are looking at another intense week. And right now, it looks like, we were able to practice a little like last week, because what is going to be new this week is not so much the frustration that was coming in through what felt like stagnation, or, things are like always the same, and, there's always and never type of feeling, namely that we have quite a few surprises here. And I'm going to explain this a little bit, what I mean with this. It's nothing that you need to be afraid of. It's just something maybe to open yourself up for, all right? The energy update this week is called Healthy Growth, and there's a reason for that. So let's go back to that agitation, that irritation, that impulsivity, compulsivity that I warned about last week. Okay, this is hitting us all, and this may feel a bit almost like boring, because we didn't really get that much of a chance to calm down here these past months since the beginning of the year, or actually the end of last year. And so people are really worn out. Some of us are still dealing with this recurring head cold, sinus clearing, and understand that this is something that comes up when your fifth chakra, which is, you know, sort of this area here, the area of expression, but also the area of judgment, and your sixth chakra, which is, you know, your third eye, you know, the inner vision, and also truth. When they try to come together, that's usually when we experience these extreme clearing times in our sinuses, simply because this needs to be released. All right, so things with our respiratory system, and also sometimes with our digestive system, but that has usually to do more with second and third chakra issues. So right now we're still sort of at this place where, you know, truth meets expression, and the agitation is something that makes us all feel like short fused, but it's something that we need to really be careful with, because it leads to this black and white kind of looking at things. And whenever we get pulled into this all or nothing, or when we get pulled into extremes, then it's like our autonomous nervous system, you know, the fight, flight, and freeze aspect in us gets turned on, or at least the likelihood is higher that it gets turned on. And we tend to overreact. We tend to get judgmental, get really sort of almost like willing to throw the towel, or, you know, can even get a little destructive. This is related to some of the really strong first chakra issues, root chakra issues that are coming forward right now. So these have to do with liberation. They have to do with belonging. So we all have this fragmented part in us that on the one hand, we want to belong, we want to be part of things, you know, like our family, for instance, and of course with that, family values and beliefs. This weekend is one of the most spiritual weekends, if you will, throughout the world, throughout religions. And there's a lot going on here, and in regards to beliefs, but not only spiritual beliefs, also the beliefs of, you know, what is good and bad, for instance, or what is evil, what is dark. And I'm bringing this up because I noticed last week that especially with empaths, there was a little bit of almost like a fear of darkness coming in, and you know, this is normal for us empaths, because we perceive or transceive things before we can contextualize them with our mind, and so we have a little bit of this sort of limbo feeling for a while, and don't know why we're having all these nightmares, or why we're having all these sort of sensations of darkness in us. And of course, when you're in this already compulsive type of state, then it's very easy to come to the conclusion, you know, that it's because you are dark, or, you know, because I'm dark, because I'm evil, because I'm damned. I've had a lot of these kind of conversations last week, so I do want to give you guys all heads up here. You guys are not alone with this, and it is not because you're dark. It is because there is a lot of stuff going on right now here in our collective, and when I say a lot, I'm talking about a 30-year-old transformation process that leads us into the liberation from old paradigms into new paradigms. This does not happen overnight, and it does not happen just on the level of, like, say, legal regulations or governments or wars. It also happens within us, and it happens within us in a physical, it happens within us in an emotional, mental, social, and spiritual, energetic way. And so you've got to understand that whenever you feel like regress, or you're not progressing per se, that this doesn't mean that you are not moving forward. It's your ego that wants to have that feeling of yes, I'm ascending, yes, you know, I'm getting enlightened. You know, this is not really how this works, all right? And I don't want to damp your enthusiasm here, because this is what we do at transCODES, like guiding people in this process, and providing a roadmap for them, helping them maybe with clearing of unnecessary or excess energies, or helping them to integrate them, helping them to connect within, because you know this, self-healing is not only a twofold process, it's actually a threefold process. One is the actual clearing of energies, say dark energies, or, things that are no longer needed, or things that are no longer serve you. And then the connection part, which is the part in us that strengthens us from within, the heart connection. This is why we talk so much about heart-based living. And then the integration, and the integration is the part where you have to allow the whole process some time, and you have to allow it to grow, and you have to also do what nature does. You have to go into feedback with it, and this is here where the truth and the expression part comes in. You have to go look for feedback and then make corrections. So fifth and sixth chakra issues, like we're having them right now, are corrective times, okay? In those times, we need to understand that our critical inner voice and all this looping about, wanting to see results, wanting to push forward, that these things do nothing but basically keep us in our old patterns. Because as soon as your ego is turned on, if you will, although, with a small side note that we all have ego as our default state, all right? So it takes a lot of practice to actually out-vibrate our autonomous nervous system, and it takes a lot of active and conscious reprogramming to do that. But as long as we are in this constant sort of fight, flight, freeze, coping state, the critical inner voice and this excessive inner looping and repetitive thinking about the same thing. This is your enemy, guys. It is not that the things outside of you are not moving fast enough, or that you are not good enough, or anything like this. A lot of people had a lot of self-doubt and a lot of this I'm never going to get this done, and so forth. This is where this black and white thinking that I mentioned in the beginning, where this leads you to. And you've got to catch this where it starts. I sometimes lovingly call this the beginning of the end. The beginning of the end is when you allow yourself to loop in the same thought patterns, all right? And my tip for anyone who works with me knows this. My tip is, to just become a specialist on disrupting these patterns. So when I say catch it before it can latch on, what I mean with this is become a disruptor. And you don't have to be a rebel to be a disruptor. So on a deeper psychological or a spiritual, emotional level, what we're all going through right now is the reconciliation between rebellion versus conforming or conformism. So we want to belong, but whatever it is that we are exposed to, the family, the village, the country, the society, the collective at large, does not fully represent our values, does not really ring true with us. So we have to find a middle ground here. So the overall energy tip for next week goes into the direction of balancing, of active correction, of reconciliation. And it so happens, over the years, I've noticed that this is actually something that happens very often around this time of the year, especially around in Christianity we call this Easter weekend, where there's this transition really from all the rest of last year really coming to a closure, needs to go, needs to be released, and really embracing the energies of the new year. It's in nature, it's the time, at least here in the northern hemisphere, you know, where there's spring, where there's the equinox. We talked about the equinox before, that brings in the new light. And it really is, at least here for those in the northern hemisphere cycle, the time where we have to embrace our inner light again. And guess what? You know, lately it's come to my attention that there's a lot of research about light and how it affects our immune system. Actually, also how humans can be manipulated with certain UVA rays. And I want to point your attention to this a little bit, okay? So one of my energy tips is going to be go outside and get more light, okay? In the future, as a visionary here, I'm seeing this as one of the major things to tune into. Now, I'm not talking about living off sun rays, you know, because of course that would be an extreme again. But there is, and this is long known for certain species, but there is more and more evidence that the sunlight that is being absorbed through our skin affects mostly all of our metabolism on a neurotransmitter, on a biochemical level. And as a former chemist, I can say that this is probably something along those lines with drinking lots of water and doing deep and conscious breathing. The third pillar of your health is to really tune into the things that are provided by nature, by these universal powers that are there. And in the keywords here, you'll find that I've wrote cross-training, and I want to point out that when it comes to healthy living and when it comes to adapting, you know, we've talked a lot about copability and adaptation here in the last months. The best way to tune into this is to keep yourself in this constant state of exposure and cross-training. To become all the way pure is not a concept that nature favors. Nature favors sort of 80-20, okay? So nature favors when there are when there's a certain level of imperfection. And I can't tell, you know, neither from a energy work perspective nor from a chemical or scientific point of view whether this is what was there first, but I can tell you that this is one of these large universal principles that work for us as well. So 80-20 rule is something that I have mentioned in many articles, and I'll post an article here called High Vibrational Living with the video. So, and please ask questions, you know, when you hear me say things, and you know, this is something that you would like me to clarify. You can also ask questions here in the commentary, of course, and I'll come back to you. Yes, and some of you, like Andrea here, watching this live video, hey, Trinidad, get a lot of sunlight. And, you know, I'm in Florida right now for that exact same reason. This is something that, you know, even though, even if people live in places where there's a lot of sunlight, it doesn't always mean that you're actually in the sunlight. That's something I would like to add to your toolbox here, you know, the conscious breathing, drinking lots of water, and consciously absorbing sunlight, okay, consciously going out and literally allowing, you know, your skin to get a lot of sunlight. Yes, and there are a few lucky ones who can do this all year round. Now, some of us, like myself, I'm from Iceland, where we have extremes, you know, we have extreme darkness for half a year and then extreme brightness for the other half of the year. And for energy workers and empaths, as I've mentioned this before, those are not ideal conditions. Better conditions are things that stay in harmony, that make it easier for us to balance things out. So there are a lot of people right now, including myself, as a matter of fact, who are questioning whether the place that they live in, or the house that they live in, or of course, the relationship that they live in, is really conducive for their journey. And when it comes to disclosure that I mentioned before, and healthy growth, and now we come in sort of to the forecast here of next week, but also the entire month of April. And I'm going to do another recording just for April here for the entire month of forecast tonight. So tune in with the email here. Those of you who've subscribed to the email list, you'll get the forecast for April. It's very important to understand that this corrective phase right now will determine the next cycle. So there's a cycle we talked about, 8 to 10 years, that is coming to a closure. And then there's also a larger cycle, and that's the generational cycle here, the 30 years that I mentioned earlier. And so everything that we are now correcting, like a course correction, will determine how things in the larger scale develop for us in the next 30 years, of course, as individuals and society or collective as a whole. And on a geopolitical level, we are seeing a lot of weird stuff, but we're also seeing a lot of discontentment. We're seeing a lot of people growing more and more unsatisfied with their financial situation, with the environmental situation, with the political situation. And what that means is that we are indeed at the brink of this larger revolutionary transformation. And if you look at astrology, you'll find that a lot of astrologers actually predict a critical Easter weekend. And from an energetic point of view, I looked at astrology simply because I wanted to get a confirmation. I do see correlations between, the data that I collect and astrological or, celestial constellations. But I only go there if I'm not really sure if I can say this out loud. But it looks like we're looking at a weekend, an entire week of crisis here in regards to, like very surprising things that will have a really large impact for the next 30 years. So this is not something you need to be afraid of. This is something actually, empaths, that have been in this anticipation for 30 years already, that kind of feel this as a relief, because we now want things to happen. We want all this global awakening and all that to happen now. So this, is something that we look forward to, but of course we've got to counter our fear of the unknown. We've got to counter, this uneasiness that comes with not knowing what's ahead of us. So the best tip that I can give you for this weekend, or really all the entire month of April, is once more, to calm down. To calm down and make sure that you put your immune system into a good place. I strongly recommend that you guys Google like a diet and things that you can do that help to clear out your lymphatic system. The sewer system, the clear out system of your immune system. It's highly underrated in medicine, but I see this as a very, very important part here in the future. The same with the, just regular environmental and perhaps also food-related or diet-related toxins that we've accumulated. This is the time for spring cleaning, guys. I know even those in the southern hemisphere, I would strongly recommend to go into a reboot detox, and I will send the instructions, how to do this, sort of a light fast, with just juices and maybe a little bit of broth, but to give your system a break here for 3 days. And I find it interesting that there are so many spiritual traditions really around this Easter time that have to do with, like Lent. It have to do with the special diet or staying away from certain things. I'm sure that there is sort of a traditional observation here behind that, and namely that we really have to get all the toxins out of our system that have accumulated through the more sedentary lifestyle over the winter time. And since this lifestyle of sitting on your computer and not really moving as much as we used to has become a collective type of disorder, it always affects the entire collective, because the electronics that we use to connect with others and so forth have drastically reduced our body's usage, really. So, from an anthropological and metabolic point of view, our bodies today, they are the same as the bodies of the human from 200,000 years ago, who was, who had to walk, 10 miles a day just to get water, or who had to, run away from predators and stuff like that. And we're not using this anymore. So there is a little bit of an overall sort of desensitization and overall sort of latency of our true powers, and that also reflects in the spiritual. So I know this was a lot of talking, but I needed to say all that in order to get to the point. And the point is that there is a lot of darkness swirling around in the astral right now, and I want to call you guys to caution. Those of you who know what I'm talking about, don't freak out. If you need an energy clearing, then call us or email us. You know that this is part of what we do. And if you just need somebody to talk to, or if you want to see how other people feel, you can always go to our free energy forum here at transCODES and or participate in these public energy sessions that we do here almost every second, third day. So right now we're going through a very, very intense transmission marathon called Grace Redemption. It's too late for you guys to sign up, but I just want you to know that going into this active reconciliation from within and allowing the deeper spiritual absolution, okay, is something that will drastically improve your etheric immune system. And what I mean with this is, like the fear of absorbing other people's energies, the fear of like curses or black magic or other people's judgment, or, just sort of emotionally absorbing other people's energies will go drastically down if you know how to work your energies. So that's why I recommend these energy training intensives so much for you guys, because it can literally change the way you see your own and other people's energies. Anyway, coming to the energy tips here for this coming week, this Easter weekend and beyond. The main chakras affected are our first and our 6th and 7th chakra once more. So our tail and our crown, okay? And there's some new rotations, some new movements going on here within our energy system, and that is that our 6th chakra, the vision, the third eye, all this information, by the way, I forgot to mention, is huge amounts of information coming in right now. lots of inspiration, and that's another reason why people end up in these recurring thought patterns and critical inner voice, because they can't contextualize this. For visionaries like myself who can, trained in interpreting this and working with this, guys, this is like massive, massive new info coming in here right now. And I see this also reflected in like really cool scientific articles being published right now, where people are starting to make connections. There's so much going on right now. It may seem like everything is being held down or swept underneath the carpet, but no. But if you can't process that right, then it will just come out as this irritated, agitated type of feeling. So you've got to learn how to sort of channel this smoothly through your system. And that's why I would recommend you guys to really tune into your parasympathetic nervous system here and what you can do. And I want to show you something here on the screen. I've talked about balance, and I've talked about, how to reconcile these things. And if you look at this picture, I did this for you here before the energy update. I put the yin-yang sign behind it. And I really want you to understand, how the sympathetic and the parasympathetic a part of you, how they work together and how they don't work together. All right, so the parasympathetic system is the part in you that allows you to relax, that allows you to go in these higher states, that allows you to digest correctly, to absorb nutrients correctly, that allows you to even be able to feel connection and to feel your own feelings. Whereas the sympathetic system, which is directly linked with all these autonomous reactions, fight, flight, or freeze, is there to prepare you for, instant action. And that's why, last time we talked about adrenaline and cortisol. That's why this has the effect on us, that it constantly wears us out. So if you don't know how to bring these two parts of you in balance, I'm not saying that it's all bad to be in a heightened state of attention, and there's some positive things that come with that as well. And I'm not going to go into the interpretation, and forgive me, this is not meant in an inappropriate way. It's a medical chart here, so you see something that may offend some of you guys, but this is from a medical and educational standpoint. This is how this works with us, and you can see that there is a direct connection with addictive behaviors, with anything that goes into coping. So the more you are caught in this fight, flight, fire, put her out mode, the more you will be drawn to compulsivity, impulsivity, and addictions. And therefore, the trick here from an energy work standpoint and also from a holistic medical standpoint is to go into learn how to work with this parasympathetical system. And we do this through meditation, we do this through breathing, we do this through energy clearing, and learning how to feel our feelings, how to feel our sensations, okay? So you connect within. And this is really what, my job here is, to give people a roadmap on how they can best do this. If you want to learn more about this, then please contact me, Jona at transcodes.com, or look at the website here. You'll get tons of information there. So on a physical level, I strongly recommend you guys to work with your parasympathetic system and also with your lymphatic system. So a diet that helps to clear out your lymph system and that supports your lymph system. And for those of you who are interested in or seriously interested in a detox, there's also two of the trans coaches that have the training here from us. They are offering they're specialized on detox programs. They're offering a spring special here starting on the April 9th for 14 days, including blood values and so forth. This is a highly recommended program from a Whole Being, and I'll post the the link here in the description. Emotionally, I've already talked at length about this. It's about catching extremes. It's about catching yourself when you go into this black and white, when you go into this, the scoffing and the because those are things that will increase your sympathetic reaction, and it will bind you to some of the things that you don't want to do anymore. And speaking of redemption and reconciliation, guys, most people get caught in guilt and shame through their addictive behaviors. And when it comes to maybe spending increased time with your family this weekend, watch this happen. Watch it happen, how people go into their addictions when there is a lot of stress, especially in regards to family values and whether or not you can speak your truth, whether or not you can express yourself. Mentally, well, one of the things that I'm observing right now that have to be cleared with people from all over the world is limiting beliefs. Okay, this can, of course, affect abundance blocks, but it can also affect things such as I'm not worthy, or I don't deserve to be loved. I don't deserve to claim my freedom. I don't deserve to belong. All right, this is detrimental. This is partially because of the root chakra, the first chakra stuff and the karmic stuff that comes up with that. Guys, you don't need permission to forgive yourself, to absolve yourself, and of course the same for others, but it starts within yourself, okay? Behaviorally or in relationships, watch yourself going into extremes here with either trying to rebel against something for the sake of rebelling. This is where the compulsivity and also the almost like OCD like unnervingness comes from. So in relationships, guys, catch yourself. If you look at the toothpaste and you get all mad at your partner for not putting the lid on or stuff like that, who's moved my cheese? Why are the knives not at the same place that I always put them? Why am I the only one who takes out the trash? Stuff like that, patterns like that. Watch that happen this weekend, okay? And catch yourself to not fall for this, all right? This is a collective condition right now, so you kind of have to learn how to breathe through that. And spiritually, it's really about understanding how these the inner fragmentation and often expressed in the dualism of masculine and feminine energies within us, how this needs to come to a balance, how this needs to be reconciled. So spiritually, there is a beauty now in tuning into mother and father energies, into the mother and father principle within you. And perhaps even using the time for, if you are so lucky to be with your parents, maybe over Easter, to tell them that you love them and that, yes, there are some things that didn't go that well or, that happened a long time ago, but that you kind of make a peace offering, okay? This is what I would recommend to you. And on an energetic level, it's the peace seeking, the inner reconciliation, and the finding absolution within ourselves that you need to focus on. And sometimes this can mean that you have to clear out some layers of judgment first, because most people really they're able to do this, to clear stuff and to do closure, but then they get pulled back into the very same old patterns because they have this huge overlay of judgment. But I should have, I need to try harder, I need to go, I need to do more. And we're actually experiencing this here during the Grace Redemption Marathon right now, like how this pullback, like a rubber band inside of you, immediately pulls you back into your inner judgment of yourself. So please, guys, use this time here, this next week, to go into balance, make a peace offering to yourself, make a peace offering to others around you. There's enough war, conflict, and rebellion going on. Don't energize it, breathe through it. Do the water, air, and sunlight therapy. Drink as much water as you can. Maybe take baths. Go in the pool if you can. Do the I am breathing because it helps you to go wider. And continued from last week or the last 2 weeks, keep doing stretching, guys. Especially, the kind of stretching where you it's more of a loosening up, and you can use your desk chair, to stretch, your neck, because as many of you know, here in the back is where the masculine, feminine, the Atlas region helps a lot with, is responsible for some of these inner dualisms. And then also use your arms, for stretching, like really, really stretch wide, because you want to allow yourself to go wider and not to get narrowed in by the black and whiteness of it right now. Yes, Cindy, thank you for commenting here. You are in our marathon that is going on right now, I know. So, the people that work with me here at transCODES, those are, and forgive me, I don't want to make this sound special, but those are troopers, man. I mean, we go through these energies here that we expose ourselves to for 72 hours straight. And boy, this is training. So thank you, everyone who's in our Grace Redemption Marathon right now. And yes, the last session was really cool. If you're interested in energy sessions here at transCODES, go to transcodes.com and just explore the different kinds of sessions that we have. They can be done in individual and group sessions, or you can also just request a free consult with me, where we can talk about these things. Yes. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for your encouraging heart. To be honest with you, this is what I miss from the Facebook, from the days and when I did Facebook lives, because I got all these hearts. I may do it as some other YouTubers and do the YouTube and the Facebook live stream at the same time, because it's so much nicer, to see all these hearts sort of floating over the screen. Thank you for coming. I'm getting ready for the crypto spiritual energy update here in 15 minutes. For those of you who are interested, how this translates into your abundance, how this translates into the crypto market. In 15 minutes, I may be running 5 minutes late. And then later tonight, but I will send you the video with the newsletter. So sign up for my newsletter. I'm going to do the forecast for April. Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming. See you next week, same time, and have a good Easter. Bye-bye.